first, I want to know, where did the idea for this documentary first begin?
I think it began when I was born, and then when Timmy was born, and then our family was born. I think, I'm a visual documentarian of everything I do, besides just the family. And, it was never like, oh, I'm going to do this for sure. But it was like after Timmy retired, and it just slowly, I saw him grow more. And that's kind of when it was just like, I think it's let's start some conversations about like what was this journey in his own words was my number one. Like, let's hear from you. You will be the MC of your journey, Timmy. And that's what the main focus was. Once we started talking about that, and I was doing recordings, and it just really started opening more doors to collaborate together to make the film.
Yeah, and what did he think when you first kind of brought this idea to him?
Well, he didn't nod yes, but he didn't nod no. So that's where I was like, oh, that means yes. But it was more a big picture as he retired. He started seeing more, I think, of the world outside of the game, which was his focus. And that just kind of slowly started opening the doors to let's do this for 30 years from now. People are going to want to see this kind of film. What was happening and what was he thinking? And how did his style go? So I wanted to make sure we captured that and potentially shared it.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned right there, it's about the world outside of the game, and that's what, this film is about. It's the story of Tim Duncan, but it's also the story of St. Croix and the
Mhm.
island. I'm calling you from San Antonio right now. Like we have our idea of, what we see of Tim Duncan, the many years. I'm from Laredo, Texas, so, I grew up watching Tim Duncan play.
Yeah.
Do you feel that this film, showcases a different side of Tim that we haven't seen from, what we know?
Yeah, I wanted to like let Timmy again in his own words, because press conferences is one thing, and I wanted Timmy in his own words to kind of tell his story, wherever story he wanted to tell. Really, I was like, not, oh, we need to talk about this. Let's do this. Let's do this. No, just let him talk about stuff: fear, failure, success, family. It was like Timmy philosophy topics in a way, and also share where he's from. Why is Timmy the way he is? Well, this is where we're from. This is life in St. Croix. This is life in Virgin Islands. It's kind
Mhm.
of the way, why he is the way he is because of this. And I wanted to share more of that and give them a voice.
Yeah, and I guess, what was that like for you? I mean, returning, like documenting the island, documenting St. Croix, and how did you approach this project knowing that, the audience may not be familiar with St. Croix or there hasn't been a documentary like this that on Tim
Yeah,
Duncan?
yeah, no, good question. I wanted to share what the island visuals, what the pace of the island was. Very things just happen, and like the fish stew cookout. There was just it's just people just start doing things, and then they always share with the neighbors or other people. And it was just I just wanted to share what island life is like, and this is the way Timmy is because of island life in a way, because people always ask. And that also was a good fit for him in San Antonio when he came here. I saw from the beginning. It's a small town, small big town, but it's very humble, and he loved that in the fans, and that's what helped him enjoy being here also.
Sure, yeah. And a big part of the film is focuses on Tim's support system from when he began playing basketball to the NBA. You interview different past coaches, players, neighbors, I guess. What does this film mean to them and to the residents of St. Croix?
Yeah, I think everyone along the journey, the persons that knew Timmy, helped Timmy, those were the persons I wanted to give a voice, or like they knew Timmy as Timmy. And I wanted to hear from them also that maybe I didn't even know about. So it was a great eye-opening experience for me to hear about things from these persons, and that are, nobody's analyzing Timmy that don't know him. These are persons that helped him along the way from his career or life, or to get to the next step, to keep doing better and going for it. So it was really, I think, exciting for a lot of those persons, a little bit of memory lane for them at times, for some of the persons that knew him when he was really young. So it was a great process to enjoy and share, and they can all enjoy it as well.
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean that's great. I mean, you do give like as much time to the neighbors as you do to like Popovich and like David Robinson and everything. I thought that was a great aspect of the film.
Good.
Um,
Yeah.
also just the film itself is a multimedia piece of sorts. You're pulling from old home video footage, game footage. At one point, there's a KSAT newscast, I believe you pull from.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
guess, can you talk a bit about the many kinds of formats that you were working with and
Hmm. Yeah. Yes. Like I wanted the film to be a poem a bit about Timmy's life and then Timmy's words. And then, like the opening scene of Timmy in the ocean swimming into the abyss. Like I always had that in my mind, say, of like, I need to show him in all this beautiful negative space of nothing that he likes to be surrounded by water. And, there's no chatter, there's no noise, but it's him in his quiet element. But then from the verite scenes of just random family moments or random family times to the old stock footage from high school, to all these random filmed events that I had been doing slowly. The interview with our father I had done 25 years ago or more or something. Those kind of random elements. I love that style of filmmaking, taking different pieces of a puzzle and using them as the anchor puzzle pieces to the
Mhm.
story, not just trying to rely on one thing or one thing here, all flashback, trying to take you through the journey and see it and enjoy it as it went down in every medium possible, like still photography to motion to film. I shot with many different formats in the film also just to show that variety of,
Mhm.
again, all the variety in life Islanders have.
How many like hours of home video footage do you have to go through? Or how is that?
I did, I don't know the exact quantity, but the crazy thing in St. Croix or the Virgin Islands with hurricanes, like you don't have a lot that gets saved when there are those big hurricanes. Everything is wet, everything gets destroyed. You literally start your life over. So some of these videotapes, a coach had up in Florida
Mhm.
and some photographs like our sisters just had a few, so there are very few types, but then some things I had hundreds of hours of, so it's this balance of like little different pieces of gold you put together.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess aside from the archive footage too, the present day elements of the film are still very much in conversation with the past, like you mentioned the Hurricane Hugo sequence, it's you're filming in the present day, but they're talking about, what happened back then. Or like you said, the interview with your father, you chose to film that off of a TV, instead of just putting the interview there in the
Yeah.
film. So I guess I was just curious, like how did all that like influence the approach that you took and the visual style you took for the present day digital sequences.
Yeah, it's a good question. Each I wanted each scene or each visual story to kind of have its own, be on its own pillar or kind of a style guide creation to, you know, our father was talking in the television, reiterating again, like as we're viewers watching a television, situation or something, and different, the premeditated shots of the underwater swimming in the pool. I always knew the style I wanted or being free in the ocean. And then the game footage from NBA Entertainment, I filmed most of those games through the year. And like there's a style to filming sports in that way or showing Timmy and the family and all of us together. I love multifaceted paintbrushes of all ways and bringing them all together and giving each person or story like a piece of thread weaving it through, but all different kind of aspects. Each interview I did for the most part of the Spurs team was on the same simple nothing style background. Like it's all about them and their voice. This is what it's about, to be said in that style guide there. So that's kind of the way I like to create and create a piece that is a style in its own. It's a one-off. I'm not going to duplicate this ever again anywhere else. But each project I do, I try to like bring that to it so it's its individual style to this piece.
Yeah, and I mean, also one thing I noticed, like in the credits, I believe there were four cinematographers listed on this film. How did that, work get divided, and how did you keep that consistent style guide in place?
Yeah, the persons that shot with me on the film or for me or with me are like people I've probably known for 20 years. So we've worked together a lot. I trust them. Timmy knew some of them from other projects a bit that I've worked on that Timmy visited me on. So there was a certain, lens choice to camera choice to I just these are persons I can trust and I don't even need to tell them when they go over there to film this, they know exactly like the elevated style or how I would like it shot. Like, it's again, it's experience. It's like a team. It's team people on my team, that I film with on the Olympics. These guys that were listed also film on Survivor with me. So they're just another part of my team. And, I
Yeah.
was really, really happy to bring them into the filmmaking process and they enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I was just curious too. I mean, because it's part nature documentary, part sports documentary. What were some of the sources of inspiration, or was there anything that you returned to while filming that kind of helped inspire look and the feel of this film?
Yeah, the visual metaphors of like, is it Timmy's life or visual metaphors of being in St. Croix and Virgin Islands back home. Like that was an important, I wanted that to be, I wanted some 1 minute shots. I wanted the pace to feel like you're sitting there. I wanted to show water or earth or nature in a way that represents just not the Virgin Islands, but a visual story of what does that mean? What does that feel? What is that feeling to be there? And that's what I wanted to get across in just creating a visual human portrait story about Timmy and his journey, but just also show the surrounding elements in a very cinematic and emotional way that each person watching can also feel their own memory of what they had with something and kind of translate it into the film also.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that pace that you said, like letting us sit there is definitely felt when you're watching it. It's very different than say like The Last Dance, like the Michael Jordan documentary. This is, approached in such a different way that I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, thank you.
Um, yeah, and I guess one thing I also want to talk about was the wide range of music that's used in this film. I believe licensed music. I think I saw Wagner in the credits, and there's that one Nine Inch Nails song from the Crow soundtrack. Um, so how important was music in approaching this film, both from the licensed songs to the original score that was used?
Yeah, the music was it's a great question because the music was really high up there on, because at one time I was just gonna have Timmy talk voice, shoot visuals of water or something in Timmy's life, or and then have beautiful score. That was the film, in a surreal, metaphoric way. But then obviously it evolved, people, story. But the music was always it was always up there at the top of like I scored maybe a third of the film, and then I got rid of it all, and then I rescored it, and Tippy from back home in St. Croix. He's an amazing dub kind of DJ and creative composer. But then I have live in New York and Brooklyn, these two guys, amazing, more strings and more, we worked together for literally months finding the right sound. And then, yeah, even from the trailer, I think I did 5, 6 versions of the trailer music until, I got the orchestra to just, oh, this is the way, this is the feeling I want, all to help emotionally let you take the journey. But that was a good question because it's definitely it's always if you turned the sound off, what would it sound like? you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think wall to wall, there's like music the whole time it feels, especially when it's like the water is on screen, the music really does kick in those sequences.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess another question I had, a big theme that's brought up a couple times in the film is trust. There's an emphasis on, the trust that your father had with Coach Pop in, caring for Timmy and ensuring that he remained the same person that he was back on the island over, once he became like a star.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's, the trust that Tim had in you in telling this story. So I guess how important was that trust between you and Tim in having his story essentially told for the first time in this way?
Yeah, I mean, there was never a conversation. It's kind of just built in us and ingrained in us of like our father taught us, go out there and do the right thing, do what you want, go for it, be challenged, be competitive, be successful. And it was like in the film, Timmy says, "I trust you," and that was the only conversation really about us understand. We fully understood each other, I think, our whole life of how we live our life, how we live our life as a family, how we live our businesses, say separate, but also my business was visual journeys that I always love to capture and just photograph and film my whole life I have. So it was really a story for the family. And it's a story for all families, I think, just to enjoy and see what he was really like in his words, again.
Yeah. I guess also now that the film, has been completed, you're premiering at the Austin Film Festival. Do you have plans for other festival releases or, what does the distribution for this film look like as of right now?
Yeah, we're talking with many places about distribution, so it's exciting to just share Timmy's story to all those like that want to know who he talks, and yeah, there'll be great possibilities somewhere, and I want to show the film back home in the Virgin Islands, of course, and share it with everyone there who can't make it to Austin for the screening, but definitely looking for more festival screening possibilities prior to that because I think it's a great enjoyable kind of platform to enjoy the film on because the film is it's not a 5-part docu-series or something. This is a film on a film and a film and a story about a family and a human portrait of Timmy. So I think seeing it in a theater setting is a great way to enjoy it.
Hmm. Well, I believe the San Antonio Film Festival passed already, but I mean, I think if y'all did a screening here too, that would do.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess I just have like one, two more questions, but there's a part in the film where Tim jokes about being somewhat embarrassed about watching this film. I guess has he seen the documentary yet?
Of course not.
No.
He trusts me. Your other answer, see.
Yeah. So-
uh, um, yeah, he hasn't, and he will. He wants to watch it, he said, but it's, after 19 years of Spurs, and now, I mean, it'll be an amazing, beautiful ride of what he knows my style. He knows other projects and films and things I work on and do. So he knows what to expect, I think. And it's going to be, I love emotional visual storytelling. So he knows it's going to be a great journey for himself to see a lot that maybe he doesn't remember also. Because when you play at that level and life is so intense, obviously, you're focused on one thing, like what was happening then, things like that. So I think you'll have a great time enjoying it. And, all of our kids have seen it and love it, the family, and it's a great kind of reminder to what our life has been and how, again, like Timmy said, it's so blessed his life and our lives.
yeah, yeah. So he won't be going to see it at the Bullock.
I don't know.
It's a
After
big
Timmy
screen.
retired, I was like, Timmy can do whatever Timmy wants anytime. So who knows?
Cool, thank you. I guess those were the questions I had. Is there anything that I didn't talk about or mention with the film that you would want to speak on ahead of its premiere?
No, no, that's great questions, and I'm excited to, finally be able to share it with everyone and share it locally and first here in Austin at least, and then, share it with everyone in the world, hopefully to again enjoy Timmy's voice.